She pounded on my front door so hard the whole frame rattled like she was trying to knock the walls down. Behind that wood, I heard a man's voice bark loud, commanding, "Open up, or we'll break it down." I peeked through the peephole and my stomach dropped. 3 men in fake uniforms stood there holding a piece of paper that looked official if you squinted hard enough. And right behind them, arms crossed and a smug grin plastered across her face, was Karen, our HOA president. She thought she'd finally trapped me. I froze. Fists clenched, every nerve screaming at me to fight, but I didn't move right away. Because what Karen didn't know, what she could never have guessed, was that my wife Emily had been 2 steps ahead of her this whole time. See, this didn't just happen out of nowhere. My name's Michael Thompson. I'm a veteran, been in this house for nearly 2 decades. Paid for it through a military loan, built my life here with Emily. We thought we'd found peace in this little suburb outside Dallas, Texas. But that was before Karen Miller decided she was queen of the neighborhood. She wasn't just strict, she invented rules on the fly. One week, she demanded everyone replace their fences to match HOA standards, except nobody else had ever heard of those standards. The next, she tried to ban street parking completely like she owned the whole road. I ignored most of it at first, but she escalated. Warnings taped to my door. Late fee notices that didn't exist in the official bylaws letters in my mailbox with threats written in bold red ink. When I confronted her in a community meeting, she smirked and said, "Some people here don't belong, Michael. Maybe you should start packing." That hit harder than I let on, because the way she said it, like she could erase my 20 years in this home with the stroke of a pen, it made me feel like a stranger in my own house. Then came the security patrol. Random guys in mismatched uniforms strolling the street, peeking into yards, sometimes stopping right in front of my driveway. My neighbors whispered that Karen was just being thorough, but I knew better. And Emily, God bless her, she knew something was off. While I was trying to keep my temper in check, she was documenting everything. Photos of the cars that circled too many times. Screenshots of fake violation notices. Even the license plates of Karen's so-called patrol. She told me, don't react yet. Let her think she's winning. But that night, when the pounding shook our door, it was almost too much. The lead guy shoved a paper toward the peephole and shouted, "This property is under HOA violation. We're authorized to enter and seize what we need. Seize what they need. Can you believe that? Like my living room was some kind of warehouse for them to raid." And then Karen added her poison. "If you don't cooperate, you'll be arrested today." My throat tightened. For one long second, I thought maybe I can't beat this. Maybe she's right. Maybe if the whole neighborhood believes her lies, I'll never convince them otherwise. Maybe walking away is easier than fighting an HOA president who thinks she's above the law. And that thought, it burned. Because I've served my country, fought real battles, but here I was doubting whether I could even defend my own front porch. I opened the door just a crack, just enough to meet their eyes. "You're making a big mistake," I said, steady but cold. One of the men immediately jammed his boot into the gap, trying to push inside. Karen hissed, "Don't listen to him. He's just a squatter pretending to own this place." Squatter. In my own damn house. That's when Emily walked out from the back room. She didn't look shaken. She looked like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. In one hand, she held a fat folder, in the other, a digital recorder. "You really shouldn't have come here tonight," she said sharply, "because everything you're doing is already on record." Karen's smirk faltered. The fake cops shifted on their feet. Emily clicked the recorder, and their own voices blasted through the hallway. "Open up, or we'll smash it down. We're authorized to seize what we need." Their words, their threats captured crystal clear. I leaned on the doorframe, calmer now. "Funny thing," I said slowly, "the sheriff's office already confirmed no law enforcement was sent here tonight." Karen snapped, "He's bluffing." But her voice cracked and Emily pressed harder. She pulled out a photo, Karen's car, same license plate, parked behind the HOA office where she'd met these guys the night before. She laid it on the table for everyone to see. One of the fake cops muttered, "You didn't say they had proof?" His eyes darted to Karen, whose face was draining of color. She tried to snarl, "Go inside, he's trespassing on HOA land," but the cracks were showing. And then the low rumble of an engine outside. Headlights swept across the yard. A county sheriff cruiser rolled to a stop at the curb. Karen stiffened like she'd seen a ghost. Emily leaned toward her and whispered, "We didn't call them. They've been watching you." The sheriff stepped out slowly, boots crunching on gravel. He didn't rush, didn't need to. Just looked at the scene. Karen shaking 3 guys in dollar store uniforms, me and Emily standing firm. He said, "Evening," voice calm, but razor sharp. "Mind telling me which department issued those uniforms?" The men froze. One stammered, We're here on HOA orders." The sheriff actually chuckled. "Last I checked, homeowner associations don't deputize thugs." His hand hovered near his holster, not pulling, just reminding everyone what real authority looked like. Karen scrambled to regain control. "Sheriff, they're with me. This man forged documents to claim this house. I have every right to be here." Emily stepped forward, handed over the folder. "Actually, here's the deed. Here's 3 weeks of surveillance. Every word Karen just said is a lie." The sheriff flipped through the papers, nodding. Then he looked at me. "Sir, you signed this property 20 years ago on a military loan, correct?" I nodded once. "Yes, sir." His eyes hardened as he turned back to Karen. "Then we've got a problem. Filing a false police report is a crime, and impersonating an officer, that's another." The fake cops started to crack. One finally threw his hands up. "It wasn't my idea. She paid us, said it'd be easy, that he wasn't supposed to be here anyway." He pointed straight at Karen. Her face went pale. "Liar," she shrieked, but her voice had lost its power. Emily calmly raised her phone screen, glowing. "I've got the transfer on record. The money came straight from Karen's account." She turned the screen toward the deputies who had just arrived with flashing red and blue lights. That was the nail in the coffin. One deputy pulled out cuffs. Karen staggered back, shaking her head. "No, you can't do this to me. I am the HOA. This whole neighborhood listens to me." The sheriff's voice cut through her hysteria. "Cold, final, not anymore. You just crossed the line from nuisance to criminal." As the cuffs snapped around her wrists, porch lights flicked on across the street. Neighbors peeked through curtains, stepping onto porches to watch. The woman who strutted through our block barking orders and inventing rules was dragged away like a common criminal. And I stood there in the doorway, not celebrating, not smiling, just breathing. Because for weeks I'd felt powerless, questioning myself, almost ready to give up. But in the end, truth held its ground. The lesson: bullies thrive on fear, but the moment you shine a light on their lies, they fall apart faster than you think.